ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me again today. I'm excited to talk to you about a film that has been willed into existence by you, the fans. I am talking about none other than Zack Snyder's Justice League. And this one has a crazy story to it. For those of you who don't know anything about it, you just remember, hey, Justice League came out in 2017. It didn't have a lot of fanfare. Actually had a 40% score on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics, 73% score by the audience. But this one has, as it stands, a 76% score by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 96% score by the audience. So a lot of you may be wondering, okay, what's going on here? What's the difference? If you don't know anything about it, go back to 2017, and Zack Snyder started in the Justice League, and he had a personal family tragedy. He had to leave, and Joss Whedon came in and finished what he started. Since then, if you've seen the film, one of my criticisms of it, amongst other things, was that it didn't seem to have much of a coherent vision. And you can see that through the way that the characters are played. And it very much, you can see the brush strokes of a different painter coming in to paint, finish a painting that someone else already started. And so this movie, this one that finally came, surprised me a bit, and I'll get to that in a minute. But so ever since that one came out, and it didn't live up to the hype, especially considering what Marvel was doing, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a lot of DC fans were left disappointed with this film and felt that Justice League kind of rang pretty hollow. But there was this rumor that, hey, Zack Snyder had his own cut, that didn't make it into filming, because Joss Whedon came and did his own thing. So long story short, the fans kept demanding, on Twitter and other online spaces, hey, release the Snyder cut. We want to see, what Snyder's vision was. And then eventually it even culminated with some of the actors in the film actually talking about they wanted to release the Snyder cut. So long story short, Zack Snyder comes, they call him back, say, hey, we can do this thing. Especially given the format, it's not going to be in theaters, but it's going to be streaming. It's streaming on HBO Max. And he goes all the way with it, releases 4-hour movie, just packed to the gills with everything that he wants. I like Zack Snyder's movies. If you don't know anything about him, so he did the original Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. He's done other movies like Sucker Punch and Watchmen. One of the biggest criticisms that Zack Snyder has gotten with the DC films is that they're too serious. When you compare them to the Marvel movies, hey, they're comic book heroes, they're fun, something you can go see with the family, it's enjoyable, whereas his world was too serious. And so in Joss Whedon's Justice League, you saw, definitely you could tell a tonal change, and that they tried to make it more humorous. But some of it really, I remember really feeling that it fell flat because it seemed forced, not like that it was naturally. Considering, we've already been introduced to these characters in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, and then, you're trying to give them a different personality than what we've seen in the previous two films. And I think this film really corrects that, in that the characters that we were introduced to, in the first two films, that's what we see here. And so that is really a lot more uniform. So I thought they did that well. Another big thing that we see here is with the total 4 hour runtime, it really gave Snyder the time to flesh out his characters and have more character development. One of the biggest problems that I had with Justice League, and this one still falls prey to it a little bit, is that coming from watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one of the biggest things I praise them for is that before we saw an Avengers movie, we had an Iron Man movie, we had an Incredible Hulk movie, we had a Captain America movie, we had a Thor movie. So we were introduced to these characters, we got to learn about them, we got emotionally invested in them, and then that's what made it so wonderful to see them on screen together, because they're the characters that we've seen in these other movies, and then we get to see them team up. With this film, and this one still falls prey to that, in that a lot of the characters in the film we hadn't seen them in their own films prior to this. They were all jumbled into, this was our first time seeing them on screen. So Aquaman, and the Flash, Cyborg, we hadn't seen these characters' backstories. And so you put them all in, we've seen Batman, we've seen Superman, we've seen Wonder Woman in the previous film, but because we haven't seen these characters' backstories, it wasn't as epic of team up as we saw on the Marvel side. But with this 4 hour runtime, I will say, it still has that problem. I still think it would have been better had we been able to see more of the characters' backstories prior to this team up. But there is a lot more room for character development, and you do get to see more of the characters, the superheroes, on a one-on-one basis, and so you really get to resonate with them a lot more. Couple that with the fact that now that this is coming out in 2021, since then, Wonder Woman has had 2 movies, Aquaman has had his own movie, and so, even though that wasn't how it would have happened, had this version came out in 2017, it coming out 4 years later, we have seen those characters, some of those characters in their own movies, and it kind of gives it that feel again of, still not on Marvel's level, but, that epic team up atmosphere. So I was really happy to see that. Really happy to see that this film, like I said, a big thing that, like I said, I was talking about Snyder being too serious. At least with this, we got to finally see, the culmination of everything that he'd been building towards. So, whether you love it or whether you hate it, I think it's better to, once you've made the decision to go in a certain vein, to let that play out, because otherwise, you putting in someone in the third quarter, late in the third quarter of the game, to try to change things around, at that point, I think you're actually making it worse. So even if you didn't like, the way Zack Snyder made these characters, a lot of people had problems with, Superman killing and then famously kills his foe in the first one, the first Man of Steel film, and then Batman mowing people down with a machine gun, I believe it was, on his Batmobile. So, a lot of people had problems with that, in just the overall over serious tone. But, they had 2 films like that, and, you've already committed to, this is Snyder. I was very happy to see, hey, let's let him play this thing out. It's very similar to me with the Batman, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. We've seen Batman Begins, we've seen The Dark Knight. It would have been to me like trying to change it out and have a new director with The Dark Knight Rises. Even though The Dark Knight Rises, I didn't think that it was the best of the 3 by far, but having already committed, absolutely, let's just stay in that tone. I think it adds more then it takes away, even if you necessarily didn't like the path that he went over. And I will say too that I think this is a victory for the fans and a victory for the director, that he gets to show what his vision was, and make the movie, have the movie finally tell the story that he'd been building for all these years, and not have it forever lost this question mark, oh well, if I would have gotten to do the movie that I wanted to, this would have been the result of it. So a lot more character development, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed a lot of the action scenes. I thought it's not slow. Like I say, you're building on what was there before, and then more characters. I would say that before the main villain, Steppenwolf, he felt really flat to me. It was kind of like, with Marvel, I thought they did a great job, and you built all these years towards Thanos, and then you finally get Thanos. And so it's this big moment, this is who they've been building to fight all these years, and now he's here. And then Steppenwolf, they just kind of threw him in there, and we don't get to see him in other films, and get to feel that rise, that him rising up. In this film, I thought they approached him getting there a lot better, and so I enjoyed that a lot more. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. It's a 4-hour film. I had to take a break. I did not watch this all 4 hours straight. I watched it 2 hours one night. It was on Friday, and then finished it up the following day. So it's definitely something that, I don't think a lot of people can dedicate 4 hours to a movie, but it was entertaining. If you like DC films, if you like superhero films, I don't think you're going to walk away from this saying that, oh, wow, that was a waste of my time. Definitely better, more cohesive than the original Justice League. I think that this had a lot of elements from the first Justice League that a lot of elements that were missing in the first Justice League. And so I think this really will make a lot more of the fans happy. And I think that's what you're seeing with the much greater score it has on this one than the previous one. So I know this review is a little longer, but once again, it's a 4-hour movie, so there's a lot to unpack. Really, once again, I would say that watch it, especially if you've got HBO Max. If you invested a lot of time into the DC universe, so Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, the 2 Wonder Woman films, Aquaman, Shazam, if you've invested that type of time and have seen these other movies, I definitely think that you should watch this one. It's going to kind of wash away a lot of the taste, I think, that you'll get from just the first Justice League, where it seems that it didn't live up to the moment. So even, I think, if you watch this film and you don't like it, you will still like having, completed this saga. So that's my review. I'm going to end this one here. We're getting long enough. Let me know what you guys think. This is one I could definitely see everyone having a lot of different opinions. Whether they loved it, whether they hated it, whether they hate Snyder's movies and they're glad to finally see him gone, and, hope that this is the last we see of him with DC, and that DC takes a completely different direction now. Let me know. This is one I am eager to get in the comment section with you guys about. I really enjoyed my time watching it. Like I said, I think that it was a much better culmination of events than what we saw with the original Justice League. So that's what I think. 7.5 out of 10. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think, and we can talk about it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.